Anyway, hi everybody. Thank you for coming. Well, we have a lot planned when we probably won't get through it all today, but when I worked with people struggling with chronic pain, we had a emergency plan that we would set with people. So we would, when you're having a flare-up or a difficulty, whatever chronic pain situation was going on, whenever that got worse, we would have an emergency plan that we would have them post with all the things that made them feel better. And so we would help people through that. Peppermint oil is good, you know, all your hot rocks and your trigger point massage and all these different things. But what I've been thinking about lately while I've been visiting with all of my loved ones is that maybe we need an emergency plan for now, for every day. So my thought for the day is to encourage you, if you are struggling at all or having a hard time with the uncertainties of now, maybe make an emergency plan. And that might look very different than the ones that we would make with my patients, but it might include things that bring you joy. So for me, going out into the garden brings me a lot of joy. Making vegetable soup, which I just did, or any kind of soup basically. Lots of things, you know, calling a friend, getting together for lunch back when that was easier to do. Anyway, that's my thought, is for everybody to make a plan and put it up so that when you're having a day that doesn't feel super cheery, maybe you can pick one thing off of your emergency plan and bring a little bit of spark to the day. Okay. All right, so we are going to start in standing and be standing for quite a while today. So go ahead and stand up, and hopefully you all have a chair nearby because we will be using a chair. So to start with, find a comfortable position in standing with your feet hip distance apart. So I always encourage you to find your hips and to look down and see if your feet are in line with your hips and not too wide, not too narrow. And then if they're pointing forward. So just check in with your feet, see where they are. And then we're going to, if you want to close your eyes, we're going to just ground into the earth with our feet, noticing the 3 points of a tripod foot, which is heel, inside ball of the foot, and outside ball of the foot. So 3 bones. And just notice the feet, notice those 3 points, and see if you can feel the earth beneath those points. And if you can kind of ground and push into those points a little bit. Noticing your feet and then coming up through your legs, up through your pelvis, scanning your body, and just noticing where you are before we do anything else. Just checking in with the body, feeling if you have any spots that are uncomfortable, noticing if your weight is too far to one side, noticing if you tend to hang on your toes or way back on your heels. Are your shoulders up by your ears, or are they relaxed down and back? Just take note. And then we're going to do 3 deep breaths, and we're going to exhale with a cleansing breath, which is mouth open, pushing the air out, using the belly pulled in to cleanse all that stale air out and let go of any stress that we're bringing into the room. So let's inhale up, grounding through the feet, inhaling up, feeling the breath lift us to the top of the head, and then exhale, bring the arms down, audibly exhale, pushing the air out, letting the stress go that you're bringing here. Inhaling up, feeling a lift through the top of the head. Hold that lift as you exhale. Good. One more big inhale, grounding and lifting at the same time. And pull the belly in, exhale all the air out. Good. Let's do some shoulder rolls, rolling the shoulders forward, back, and down, just waking up the upper body a little, and then relax them down and back. So imagine your shoulder blades are sliding down and back your ribs, shoulders away from the ears. Good. We're going to take a couple more breaths, grounding through the feet and pull energy up the inside of our legs. So we'll do 3 breaths like this. And I want you to really try to imagine that you can feel the energy. So there is energy. If you can't feel it, imagine you can feel it until you can. So imagine that there is a lift from the inside of your arches. And as you inhale slowly, pull your hands up, pull the energy up the inside of the legs, up through the pelvis, up through the belly, through the heart, the throat, all the way up, lifting through the crown of the head. Feel that energetic lift, and then exhale slowly. Now not exhaling with force, but exhaling slowly, letting the arms come down your sides. Feeling how you exhale slowly and bring yourself further into your body. 2 more, inhaling up. Drawing the energy up from the earth into your body, lengthening the spine as you go through the crown of the head, and very slowly, at least 8 seconds if you can for your exhale. Good, 1 more, inhale up. Good. So always, if you feel anxiety in your body or any kind of disturbance of your energy, if you come back to your breath, ground into the feet, feel the energy, or just come into the breath and lengthen the exhale. That'll always bring you into a more relaxed state, a healing state, and a state where you can sort of cope with the world a lot better. So coming to the chair, we're going to start waking up our body. We are going to pretend to sit, but not actually sit. So we're going to do sit to stand, waking up the quads and the glutes. The key to this is to put the weight back over the feet towards the heels. So really, like you're going to sit in the chair, weighting back, letting your arms come forward as if you're going to sit. Hopefully the knees are over the ankles as I fall over, and then back up straight. So keeping the heart lifted, sit back as far as you can. You don't have to go all the way down. Trying to keep the knees in line with the ankles, then squeeze the glutes, squeeze the quads, and lift back up. Good. Inhaling as you come down, keeping the shoulders relaxed away from your ears, and keeping the heart lifted. So the spine is still long, just like we were doing in standing, lifting long through the spine, even as we sit down into the chair. And then notice if you can keep your weight evenly on the right and the left feet. Are you grounded through the foot still, through those 3 points? And exhale up. Good. Inhaling down. Moving with the breath. Good. Keeping the weight going back towards the chair, squeezing the glutes when you come back up straight. 5 more. Try to keep the knees right over the toes as they facing the toes. So knees in line with ankles and facing forward over the toes, not coming together. Good. Last one. Down and inhale and back up. Good job. Okay. I'm going to turn the chair around and just using the back of the chair for balance if you need. So we're going to put fingertips to the chair And we're going to do some of our hip work in standing today. So often we lay on our sides and we do lots of hip work. Today we're going to combine hip work and balance at the same time. So you're going to hold onto the chair if you need for balance, and you're going to try to keep your hips nice and level, drawing the tummy up to stabilize the back and the hips, keeping the core pulled in a little bit. And then we're going to bring the leg out slightly back towards the heel, as far as you can, and slowly back in. So we're going to do 12 of these, and if you need the chair for balance, that's great. If you don't, use this as a balance challenge. So making sure the hips are staying level, going out as far as you can without losing your alignment. So you want to stay nice and tall, grounded through the standing leg, and keep breathing. And make sure you're leading a little bit backward towards the hip. So the angle is out and back, not out and forward. Otherwise, you'll use muscles that we don't want to use. I've lost count. Are we almost to 12?
At least.
All right, rotate to the other side. So balance. Now standing on the leg you just worked, keeping the tummy pulled in tight, straight out and back. Good. Trying to stay grounded through that foot, trying to keep breathing, and trying to stay lengthened through the crown of the head. So there's no collapsing. And if you can't go too far, that's okay.
I'm feeling a lot of stress up the outside of my calf or the shin area.
The standing leg or the moving leg? Of the standing leg?
Yes, standing. Yes.
Okay, well, it's working hard to stabilize you. Okay, relax. Shake it out. Yeah, the standing leg, you should feel the hip here working hard, and you should feel some work around the ankle. That's good, and that means you're getting stronger and stabilizing your joints. So if it gets too much, just put the legs down. Okay, we're going to do one more in that position. So we'll just do 8 of them, but we're going to come straight back, squeezing the glute without arching the back. So start by standing up tall, pull the tummy in tight, and then you're going to squeeze the glute, pulling the leg back without arching the back. Breathing. Good, really push through that standing leg hard so that your hips are level. This is hard work on that leg, and especially if you use it as a challenge for your balance and don't hold on. So do whatever feels safe to you. Good, and switch. Good, keeping the toe lifted off the floor, straight back, squeeze as far as you can without arching the back at all. Good. All right, now put your hands on the chair, step your body back. We're going to put our tailbone back towards the back of the room and fold forward, giving our hamstrings a little stretch. Stretch through the back of the leg, letting the chest fall down towards the floor. Take a couple of breaths here with your feet just hip distance apart, lifting the tailbone back and letting the chest fall, letting the head and neck be relaxed. Good. Now come back up, pull your tummy in as you come up to protect the back. Put your legs wide, and we're going to stretch out the inside of the legs. So you're going to again put your hands on the chair, widen your stance, stick your hips back, and you're going to put the hips one way and then the other. Nice and slow till you feel a nice stretch on the inside of the leg, the adductors, keeping the tailbone reaching back as you shift your hips left and right. So you should feel this from the groin all the way down to the inside of the knee. Just do a couple more, going side to side slowly. Keep breathing, and then you feel very tense muscles, take a breath and breathe into those tense muscles.
Robin, do you keep the legs straight?
Yes. Not locked, but straight. Knees should be softly straight. Good, come back up. All right. So we're going to do one more thing. This is balance. So we're going to put one foot in front of the other. Let's put the right in front of the left. Heel to toe. And if you need a chair nearby for safety, please have it right there. And then you're going to lengthen up through the top of the head, trying to get your weight right over the middle point, right between those 2 feet where they meet. Pull the tummy in, shoulders are back and down. Arms out to the side if you can, or put them on a chair if you need that support. And then just take a couple breaths here. If this feels very easy with your arms out, look left and look right. Keep the tummy pulled in tight. Feel all the little wiggles around the ankles and feet. Good, lifting up through the top of the head. And relax the arms down and switch legs. So left in front of right, heel to toe. Find your tall posture. Your spine should be comfortable. Pull the tummy in, lift through the crown of the head, find your balance, arms out to the side. Breathing, shoulders down away from the ears. And then, as I said, if this feels easy, you're going to look right and look left. And look right and left. Good. Good. And relax the arms down. Good job. All right, we can scoot the chair out of the way. We're going to come through downward facing dog to quadruped position, so hands and knees again. If anybody is not going to come onto the floor, you can do a lot of these things in your chair. So as we go through poses, I'll tell you. Is anybody only going to be in the chair? Yeah, no, maybe. Okay. So go ahead and put your feet hip distance apart. Inhale up, hands up overhead, then bend the knees a lot. Put your tailbone up and back. Place the hands on the ground. And then walk the hands forward a little bit until you can start feeling length in the spine. So the key here is not length in the back of the legs yet, it's lengthening the spine. So lifting the tailbone and then the crown of the head falling towards the floor in the other direction. Push away strongly with your hands and feel the shoulder girdle activated. Feel the space in the shoulder and all the muscles around the shoulder activated, pushing away strongly into the floor. And then if you can, start pedaling one foot and then the other towards the floor. So keep breathing here. Keep lifting the tailbone and go gently. A lot of people have tight heel cords. So just pushing the heel a little bit towards the floor is fine. Whatever feels comfortable, alternating one and then the other. And then if you want to challenge here, if this gets fatiguing, come down onto your hands and knees and take a rest. If you want to challenge here, lift one leg up, all the way up And then bring it back down and bring it forward, knee between the hands, and lift it up. And one more time, knee coming between the hands towards the heart before you place it back down, finding length again, tailbone lifted. If you want to challenge, lifting the other leg up, trying not to rotate. Bring your knee up between the hands. Inhaling long, squeezing the glute. Exhaling forward. Good, and then find your length one more time. Lift the tailbone, let the head go. One more breath here. Good, exhale, bring the knees down to the mat. Hands and knees position on all fours. So if you don't like downward facing dog position, you can always work on that same lengthening using a chair. So similar to what we did at the beginning with the fold. It's a really great position for lengthening your back fascial line and also building strength through the shoulder. All right, push away strongly in this hands and knees position. We're going to do a couple of little core exercises here. So first, find length, top of the head reaching away from the tailbone, actively lengthening, feeling space between each vertebrae of the spine. Take a breath there, then let the shoulders come down away from your ears and push even stronger into the mat. If this is uncomfortable for your wrists, you can do it in a fist position, but I encourage you to try to work towards being able to have stronger wrists in this position, little bits at a time. Okay, if you've been doing this a while, go ahead and start doing opposite arm and leg, keeping the body straight, pulling the core in, reaching at a diagonal, fingertips away from toe tips. If you have not been doing this a while, from this position, push away strongly with your hands, and we're just gonna do a leg at a time, lifting it as far as you can, and if that's only out straight and a little lift or no lift, that's okay. Keep the body straight and strong. Keep pushing away with the hands, and then we'll build strength from there. So first time people, just do one leg lifting, pushing away. Bring it as high as it feels comfortable. And if you've been doing it longer, you're going to lift. Work on holding it a little bit longer at the top. Take a full breath there, finding your balance, not letting your body twist, and then coming down slowly with control. Always be aware of the standing arm. Don't let it collapse, because you'll end up giving yourself shoulder pain, which is the opposite of what we're working towards. Good. Let's go for 4 more on each side. Keep breathing, inhaling up, finding your balance, pulling the belly in, keeping your core strong, spine long. Exhaling down, finding your good posture again before you lift. Good. Couple more. You're doing great. If this gets to be too much, go ahead and sit back into child's pose, which is hips sitting on the heels. Good. Last one. Inhale, find length, pushing away, and relax. Last one on this side. Beautiful. Now everybody sit back into child's or prayer pose, whichever is more comfortable for your knees. Child's pose, separate the knees, let your body and chest fall down between the knees. Let the feet be a support for the glutes. Let your butt sit right on your heels and let your forehead come to the mat. If you can't tolerate this position, you're welcome to be up in a prayer pose here, forehead still on the mat. Or if you're sitting, you could also just lean your head on a table, let your forehead come to something to rest. Take a couple of deep breaths, inhaling into the back ribs. So feel the ribs expanding. Notice if the right and the left sides feel even. Good, and as you exhale, let yourself ground into the mat. Let the forehead be heavy, let the neck relax, let the shoulders relax. Just try to let go. Good. I'm going to push forward into an all fours position for one more exercise. If your wrists are getting fatigued, go ahead and come up onto your fists. Otherwise, nice wide hands. Wrists are right underneath the shoulders. Knees are right underneath the hips. Knees are hip distance apart. We're going to push up into a mad cat. So tucking the pubic bone towards the nose. Lead with the pubic bone and the pelvis tucking under first. Then let the head come forward and lift your back in a mad cat position. Pull the belly button up. Inhale, feeling a stretch of the ribs, a stretch of the spine. Exhale, let the shoulders come back. Let the pelvis unwind, tailbone towards the back wall. Let the heart lift and lift the head, feeling length in the throat. Inhale, pulling the belly up. Arching into a mad cat, tucking the tailbone under, pubic bone towards your nose. Let your head be relaxed. Push away strongly with your hands. Big breath here, and then exhale. Let the shoulders come back, tailbone up, coming into a cow. Let the heart be open. Good. Inhaling into a mad cat. Two more of these. Let your own breath lead you. Exhale into a cow pose. One more. Inhaling. Feeling all of the segments of the spine waking up and moving. We don't do enough of this in our everyday lives anymore, letting the spine move segment by segment. Okay, we're going to sit on our bottoms. I know some people like it when I say, sit on your butt. All right, nice and tall, we're going to roll back onto our back. So try sitting up tall and rolling down if you can. If you have a sensitive spine, just go ahead and walk your way down without curling. So any osteoporosis, just lay down flat. Otherwise, lift up out of the sit bones, ground through the feet, and we're going to use our belly muscles to uncurl the spine. So rolling back slowly, first on the sacrum, then the low back, keeping the tummy pulled in, unwinding through the ribs, and finally up to the shoulders and neck. So use your muscles for that. Okay, ground through the feet. We're going to do bridging. So check your alignment again. All I care about is alignment, you might notice. So knees in line with your hips and feet grounded and also in line with your hips. So find those 3 points and push down through them even though we're not standing anymore. And we're going to do bridging in one of two ways. So we're going to come up either by curling, if you do not have any fragility in your spine, then you're going to curl the tailbone up and slowly peel the spine up off of the mat letting the neck and shoulders stay relaxed. Inhale all the way up, squeezing the glutes at the top. If you like a challenge here, then you're going to do the single leg challenge. If you have any fragile spine, you're going to keep your spine neutral. So find a comfortable arch of your spine. And then you're going to squeeze the glutes and lift straight up, keeping the spine neutral, protecting the spine, and then straight down with control, using the leg and the hip muscles to control the descent. So either way, 10 more. Squeezing and lifting straight up, lifting at the top, and then slowly either uncurling or just lowering down, whatever feels right to your body. Just listen to the wisdom of your body today. If you've been doing this a while, I encourage you to work on your single leg challenge. So whether your leg is lifted a little bit or out very straight, challenge the glute. Try to hold it longer and longer each time. Do both sides and try to keep your pelvis level as you do the single challenge. So if I put a cup of water on your tummy, it's going to stay still and then still controlled rolling down. Good. Stay with your breath. Inhaling as you come up. If you're curling up, notice the spine. Does it feel equal on both sides? If not, try to make it a little more even. Keep breathing even as you do your single leg challenge, and try to keep the shoulders out of this. They're not doing any work. They should just be relaxing. Good. Feeling the glutes, the butt muscles squeezing at the top, lifting, lifting, lifting. If you haven't done any single leg challenge and you want to try it, just try lifting your foot just for a second and keeping your hips level while you do that. And as you do that, I promise you'll start building strength very quickly. And before long, you'll be doing things that you had no idea you could do.
Finding you can't do it at all.
If you can't do it at all, sit in a chair and squeeze your glutes and push down through your feet at the same time.
Okay.
So you can be sitting in a chair and you can push through the feet to activate the quads and squeeze the glutes together. So squeezing the butt muscles tightly together and then relax and just practice your sitting up straight alignment, shoulders relaxed, and activating those same muscles. All right, last one, inhaling up and exhaling slowly down. Good. Okay, go ahead and bring your knees to your chest. If you can't bring your knees all the way to your chest, bring them up a little bit and rock side to side. If you can, bring your knees all the way to your chest towards your armpits and rock back and forth. Give yourself a low back massage. Take a couple breaths. Good. And then one foot and then the other down. Okay. We have one more place to work while we're down here. So we're going to find neutral spine, as we do always, by arching, pushing the pelvis back and down, and then flattening by rocking the pelvis towards your nose, tailbone down and tailbone up towards your nose. Find a spot in the middle of those two extremes of your back that feels good and comfortable. If you're in seated, you can do the same thing on the chair. Find a neutral spine. And we're going to tighten the tummy. So drawing the belly button in towards the spine If you don't know how to do this, you can use a big, deep inhale and exhale. And as you push the air through your teeth, draw your tummy in. Put your fingers right inside of your hip bones, and you should feel some tension compared to when you're not contracting. And then if you've been doing this a while, we're going to hold nice tight stomach, hold neutral spine, don't let it move. And you're going to start doing bicycle legs. So reaching out, unweighted, not letting the spine arch, reaching just as far as you can, keeping the spine right where it is. If you're in seated, you'll hold this tight muscle and you'll march your feet, lifting your feet off of the ground just a little bit. And if you're in lying down and new to this, you'll also march your feet just like I'm doing now. So you can easily work these muscles sitting in a chair as well as lying on your back. So the point is to feel the lowest stomach muscles, transverse abdominis primarily, and keep the back neutral. So we're not letting the back flatten or arch, keeping the tummy tight, and then remembering to breathe. That's sometimes the challenge. Good, a couple more. So if you're reaching as far as you can long without arching the back, pointing the toe, keeping the muscles engaged. Good, keep breathing. Good. And relax, bring the knees into the chest. Give yourself a little hug. Take a deep breath. Let any tension that you got develop in the shoulder.
Okay, here.
Who said what? All right. So we're going to do one more here. So either laying down on your back, you can do one of two things. You can either let your knee fall out and bring it back in, which is the start to the oblique waking up. So as you let your knee fall out, pull the belly button in to keep the hips level and pull it even tighter in as you bring your knee back to center, trying to use the muscles of the belly to pull the knee and control the knee as it falls out. If you're in seated, you could do the same thing. So you could sit and let your knee go out to the side and activate these muscles. You could also twist your body back and forth a bit. If you've been doing this a while, go ahead and come into neck supported, and you're going to twist across on an exhale. Inhale flat, twist across, and inhale flat. So pulling the belly button in and just peeling the shoulder blade off of the mat. You don't have to go real far to get these muscles activated. And if you want more challenge, reach the opposite leg long. Good. Inhaling as you go flat, exhaling when you cross. Exhale and inhale and exhale and inhale, exhale. Good. Make sure you're keeping your tummy pulled in, keeping your back comfortable, not in pain. So don't go too far, just as far as you can manage without any increased pain in the back. Okay, go ahead and relax down flat. Let the elbows open up. Lengthen the toes. Lengthen the arms up overhead. Reach away out of your waist. Lengthen the tummy. Ribs coming away from the hips. Big breath, making yourself as long as possible. And exhale, relax. Good job. Okay, we are going to roll over onto our stomachs for a moment. So I'm going to show you real quick. If you are not going to lie on your stomach, you can sit with your sit bones under you, and you can do the same thing. So you can squeeze your shoulder blades back and down, and then relax. Squeezing back and down and relax. For those of you who go onto your stomach, we're going to still squeeze back and down and lift the arms off of the floor, and then bring them back and relax. Squeeze the shoulder blades back and down, lift the arms off the floor, back to the floor, and relax. So whatever you want to do is fine. Working your shoulder blade muscles is very important for your shoulder function, and we definitely don't do enough of this. So let your forehead rest on the floor in a stomach line position. Bring your elbows right out from your shoulders. You're going to inhale as you lift your shoulder blades back towards your back pockets. Imagine you have back pockets and you want to slide your shoulder blades into them. This will pull the front of your shoulders up off of the floor, and it will pull your shoulders away from your ears. Hold that position of the shoulder blades and lift the arms off of the floor. Thumbs are pointing toward the ceiling to protect the arm, and then lower, exhale slowly. Good. With your own breath, we're going to do 8 more of these. Exhaling slowly down. Let the shoulders totally relax between, and then reset shoulder blades back and down. Arms lift, arms lower while the shoulder blades are squeezing, and then totally relax them. Beautiful job. If this is straining your back at all, relax the hips and legs and pull the belly button up towards your spine just a little bit to protect the low back. Good.
I'm getting a cramp in my shoulder blades.
Give yourself a hug. Good. Okay, one more. Lifting, squeezing. And go ahead and sit back into a child's pose again. You're going to let your arms come down to your sides this time. If you're in prayer pose, that's harder to do, but you can still do it. Arms by your side, your butt will be up in the air, forehead on the ground. If you're in sitting, just give yourself a nice big hug and roll your shoulders back and forth. If you're in child's pose, let those arms relax and take a couple of breaths. Send the breath between the shoulder blades. Feel the space between the shoulder blades and the spine expand as you breathe in deep, and then exhale, settle into the floor. Good job. So if you get cramping between the shoulder blades when you do that, or you get cramping in the hip when you're doing standing on one leg, I would encourage you just to keep working on those poses and working on those exercises, because the muscles will get stronger, and you can just keep expanding how long you're able to do it as the muscle fibers wake up and start working for you better. And you'll feel such a difference in your function during the day too if you do that. Okay, go ahead and come back up. We are going to come to seated position on the floor or in a chair, whichever you prefer, and give ourselves a little bit of massage, alignment, neck work, chest opening. So sit up on your sit bones. If you can't feel your sit bones under you, then move your soft tissues out of the way. That's okay. Find the sit bones, sit whatever way feels comfortable to you. And we're going to take a couple breaths, trying to let the shoulders relax down away from the ears, trying to feel the ground under our sit bones, and trying to find length through the top of the head right here. So as you inhale, lift through the crown of the head, feeling the segments of the spine separating. And then we're going to exhale, let the right ear come over toward the right shoulder, opening up the side of the neck on the left upper trapezius. And then put the hand on the mat and walk it away. So that left hand is walking away from the body. If you feel a pinching in the neck, go ahead and reach on that right side, the side you're bending toward. Reach with 2 fingers. Go to where you're feeling pinching and just give the very slightest lift toward the eye. And then bend over those fingers, and that will release that pinching. And then reach that hand away, letting the shoulder come down. Pull the shoulder back, opening up the chest. And then we're going to lift the hand off of the mat and point it down. And lift it up and point it down. So giving ourselves a little bit of a nerve glide here. Nerves like to be pulsed, not held, constantly stretched. So just pulsing up until you feel a little nerve tingle, kind of a zingy feeling on the inside of the arm and hand. And then coming out of it, and maybe here you feel the radial nerve more towards the thumb and the upper side. Back and forth, just a couple more times. Good, and then inhale, bring your head up, lengthen again, and come over to the other side. Always remember to lengthen before bending over, because otherwise you're just compressing. You want to lengthen and then stretch the muscles. And again, if you are feeling pinching or compressing in the neck, reach up. Give yourself a little bit of a lift on the side of the spine towards your eyeball. Good. Breathing here, reach the hand away, feeling a stretch on the upper trapezius down through the chest, pull the shoulder back, and then pulsing the hand. So reaching away and then pulsing it, lifting it up and coming onto the fingertips and up and onto the fingertips. Good. Keep breathing. Good. And then breathe, come back up to center, lift out of the top of the head, do a couple shoulder rolls. We're going to do one more thing for opening the chest and correcting our head position. So bring your fists to your cheeks, arms out, and you're going to bring the elbows together and bring them apart. Now, if you can't get your elbows together, that's okay. Every movement that you do towards better alignment and towards better strength and centering and stability, every tiny step matters a great deal to your body. So even if you're not there yet, don't be hard on yourself. Just working where you're at towards your goals of being a little more centered, a little more strong, a little more flexible. So as you pull your elbows together, notice that your chin retracts, your head goes back over your shoulders better. So your ear and your shoulders become in better alignment. As you open up the chest, inhale. As you close, exhale and feel that head go back. Couple more. Inhaling, open, and exhaling, bringing the elbows together. So this is a good thing to do if you have a forward head. So if your head tends to be way forward of the shoulders, this is a very good exercise to correct a forward head, and a good thing to do if you've been working, sitting, doing sewing or typing or computer work for a long time. Okay. We are going to give ourselves a little shoulder massage. If you aren't familiar with massaging, just grab your muscles and give them a squeeze. So you're going to bring your hand over to the opposite shoulder and just lift those muscles up, squeezing them, bringing a little bit of life and circulation into the muscles. And then you're going to work your way up the neck. So you can either reach around the back and go by the side of your spine, doing little circles up the neck towards the head, or you can come around like this. I find it more comfortable to reach around when you're doing the neck. So little circles along the spine, all the way up to the base of the head. When you get to the base of the head, find that dent. So to the side of the spine, you have deep dents where your skull begins. Work your fingers into those dents right along the base of the skull and go outward all along those spaces, because there's a ton of muscles that attach there. And if you can work out towards your ear a little bit along those little caves, you will get lots of muscles that are very good to release if you're feeling stressed or having any kind of headache. So if you feel a spot that's intensely sore, just hold your finger on it and breathe into that spot, bringing your mind's eye to the spot that feels tender, and just hold the pressure. This works anywhere that you feel a lot of pain. If you just press into it and hold it, it will release after a minute or so. Okay, reach over to the other side, squeezing the upper trapezius and the scalenes, giving a little bit of life and circulation. Working your way up towards the neck. Give yourself little circles, massaging up the neck and all the way up to where your head begins, finding those upside down U-shaped occiput, and then just work along out towards the ear, right along the base of the skull at that occiput. Good. If you find a spot that's tender or maybe refers sensitivity down, just hold on to it for a moment. Press onto it and inhale. Bring your mind's eye right to that spot. Bring the breath there. Exhale, try to let it go. You'll feel it melt away like butter if you do it. All right. Work your way down your neck one more time. All right. I needed a neck massage. Hopefully you did too. We are going to come into a meditation position. We didn't do our side lying hips today, so if you are dying to do those later, please go ahead. And our figure 4 stretch. We did get some hamstring stretching. And I told you to bring a strap and we never used it, so sorry. Make yourself comfortable seated or lying down with a pillow under your knees is fine. If you want to get a blanket, if you're cold, grab a blanket and get comfortable, and we'll do a little meditation before we close. So I like to usually lie down, but today my body's telling me I want to sit, so I'm seated today. So go ahead and take a couple of deep breaths. Try to draw the breath down into your belly. So as you inhale, let your belly relax completely. Let the belly rise. And as you exhale, let all the tension go out of your body. Trying to let it be heavy now and relax into the mat or into the chair or whatever you are on. We're going to do a little bit of a different meditation today. We're going to try to let go of some of the shoulds in our life. So I want you to think of a few shoulds that you have. So it could be, I should be different in some way. I should keep a cleaner house. I should exercise more. We're going to imagine we have a little box or a crate or a trunk, depending on what size your shoulds are. Gather them up in your head, all the things you tell yourself through the day. That little mind trick, the little voice that tells you things that you should be doing. Gather all those up in your mind. And then once you have them gathered, imagine you're putting them into a trunk or a box. Something that's right beside you. And imagine closing them all into that box, shutting a lid down on them and locking it. We're going to put away all the shoulds. And then I want you to come back to your body. Notice your breath. Bring your breath past your nose, nice and cool, down your throat, past your heart, deep into your lungs. Feel your belly rise. Feel your ribs expand into the floor or out into space, wider with the breath. Feel yourself exhale slowly, letting the breath go, feeling it warmed by your body, past your throat, and out your nose. Take a few more breaths, noticing the breath, noticing your body, noticing the energy that's buzzing within the cells of your body. As you exhale, noticing the breath, letting go of any tension you're holding, settling deeply into the mat, into the chair, into the earth. So I'd like you to go forward into the rest of your week with a few affirmations and a couple of goals of not bringing those shoulds back out of the box. So I'd like you to repeat in your mind after me. I am seen. I am loved. I am strong. I am beautiful. I am held. I am loved. And I am seen. If any of those speak very strongly to your heart, repeat those 3 times. Put your hand over your heart and repeat whatever message that your heart needs to hear. As we go forward into the next few days, let us remember that we have a great deal of wisdom within our bodies we can just turn our minds and our chatter off for a few minutes during the day to tune into our own truth and our own bodies. There's so much wisdom to know what we want, wisdom to know what to eat, wisdom to know who to call, wisdom to know whether it's a day to sit quietly and feel sad and let that be okay, or a day to go out and garden, or a day to take a walk and notice your surroundings. Trust yourself. Try to throw away some of the shoulds. Okay, my friends, wiggle your fingers and toes. Bring yourself back into your body. Take a deep breath. Stretch your spine long. Hopefully your body has been invigorated by all the movement. And I love you all. Thanks for coming and spending time with me. I'll be back Thursday and next Monday, same time, same place. So if you don't get an email from me later, then email me. Okay?
Thank you, Robin. Have a good week.
You're welcome.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Robin.
Thank you.
Perfect.
I don't know.